Day by day, more and more temperature records are broken. For some, this is the summer they've been waiting for, but infrastructure, services and people are being pushed to their limits. For rough sleepers, this extreme weather is particularly oppressive, sweltering in the heat of the city, while most of us search for shelter inside. You don't want anyone out all day in this?
Yeah, and what we'll find is the majority of them will tend to stay out all day.
Council support teams across the red alert area have initiated emergency plans,
Just checking that you're okay.
including increased patrols to check on vulnerable people like Nathan.
The temperature is really high, so yeah, we're kind of struggling at the moment, but trying to get enough water.
Even in the shade, there's not much relief from this relentless heat. The temperature stayed high overnight in Cardiff, around 24 degrees, and it's really getting hot now. The Welsh capital was the hottest place in the UK overnight, and it's the lack of nighttime respite from the heat that's worrying doctors.
So if you're not sleeping well, which is the biggest problem, because we're not resting properly because of the heat, we feel exhausted all the time, so your brain function is less.
Usually spared the most extreme temperatures due to the Atlantic Ocean, even Northern Ireland is feeling the heat. These care home residents are not used to this kind of weather. Rail misery continues too, with reduced timetables extended into tomorrow.
Just a bit tiring. We just got off an 8-hour train, so we were hoping to just go.
Almost wait for an hour. And I've got the kids at home, so it's a bit stressful.
Last month's heatwave saw a tragic spike in water deaths, and last night a man died at Aberavon Beach near Port Talbot, while searches continue for a teenager missing after swimming in a lake near Southampton. While this relentless, record-breaking heat will soon be behind us, the questions over how we cope with our changing climate are here to stay. Rhys Williams, ITV News, Cardiff.
So how's it looking elsewhere in the UK? Well, Neil Connery's in Kent. Alex is in the studio with analysis, and Sally Patterson is in Jersey. Sally, let's start with you. A record-breaking day where you are.
That's right. It's actually reached 39.3 degrees here in Jersey today. That's the hottest day ever on record in the Channel Islands. And we've seen those temperatures exceeding the United Kingdom by 2.5 degrees anywhere across the UK. And that's because our records are kept differently here. We're not part of the UK. We're part of the British Isles, just off the coast of France. And so people have been, of course, flocking to the beaches, enjoying that sunshine. Several schools have closed and some operations had to be cancelled because of the soaring temperatures, but we are expecting some thunderstorms in really the next few minutes, and so likely a break from some of that oppressive heat and this record-breaking week we've seen.
Sally, thanks very much. Well, hundreds of thousands of households are facing a hosepipe ban after South East Water warned demand for drinking water had reached very high levels. Neil Connery is in Whitstable in Kent for us, and it's not exactly what residents or businesses want to hear.
No, it isn't. Some 850,000 South East Water customers in Kent will be affected by this temporary hosepipe ban, which comes in with immediate effect. The company say they're doing it to maintain pressure and continue supplies across the region. They say they've only received something like 37% of the average rainfall between March and May, and now they're facing this huge demand. Of course, this is a company, South East Water, which has made headlines for all the wrong reasons over the past 12 months. A number of occasions where tens of thousands of their customers have been left without water. Their CEO has announced that he's resigning. The chairman of the board says he's stepping down as well. Their customers will be watching them closely in the coming days, especially at this crucial time, hoping they can deliver.
Neil, thanks very much. Well, hundreds of schools across England and Wales closed their doors early this afternoon, or didn't open them at all, because of the spiralling temperatures. And that's led to renewed calls for schools to be refurbished to cope with what's becoming the new normal. One teaching union, though, said at the current rate of progress, that wouldn't finish for another 200 years. Amy Lewis heard from teachers, parents and pupils about the growing issue.
Looking at my water bottle, thinking about what you know already.
In a lesson about water, they spent most of their time drinking it. At Ivingswood Primary School in Buckinghamshire, pupils have been trying to study in their sweltering classrooms.
What's been the worst thing about the heat?
Probably that it's harder to focus on your work. I've been struggling to work because it's been really hot. When it gets like to the hottest point in the afternoon, that's like when it kind of bothers me.
What do you do to try and keep cool?
Just like maybe sit still and drink a lot of water. Yeah.
The playground is too hot to use and the 1970s buildings are uncomfortably warm, so most children went home at lunchtime. The school wants to install air conditioning, but the maths doesn't add up.
We simply can't afford it. We don't have enough money to heat our buildings and we just can't simply afford to run air conditioning units.
But what happens if we have more of these heat waves in the future?
No, you are right. We do think that is something that is going to keep happening, but we are going to need some funding for that.
How confident are you that you will be able to get aircon in the next few years?
I'm not confident at all.
So you could end up seeing more partial closures?
Absolutely.
The UK has once again broken the record for the highest ever temperature recorded in June today. Hundreds of schools have closed or partially closed again.
Schools will have to take the appropriate measures and each school will gauge for itself what the measures are. We're having COBRA meetings at the official level to monitor what's going on.
At Highdown Secondary School in Berkshire, they've already put air conditioning in some classrooms, but they're not allowed to install it in their Grade 2 listed buildings. Children have been wearing PE kit instead of their uniform and finishing early.
We've rearranged the timing of the school day, so we're starting lessons earlier and we've extended break in the morning, so they've got an opportunity to run around, get water before it gets too hot. We have decided on an early finish, and that's because the highest temperature is at 3 when they normally are walking home from school, so in order to get them home safely, we finish earlier.
We usually get re-roomed to AC conditioned rooms, so we're not overheating in classrooms since there's obviously a lot of us in the classroom.
I'm coping in this heat by fanning myself with a book or something, and thankfully in between lessons we get little breaks where we can go to the water fountain.
In the meantime, thousands of parents are juggling school closures or early pickups and are concerned this will keep happening.
Well, I've been at work today, but I've just planned to pop out now to come get my daughter. And I've got to go back to work, but I work in a foundry where it's really, really hot in there today. It's not nice in there, it's horrible.
I'm going back to carry on and log on to work. We should be getting ACs in the schools, we should be getting extra fans. Obviously the government should be giving them extra funding to help the schools buy all this stuff now.
If heat waves become more common, schools will need help coming up with the answer on how to stay open. Amy Lewis, ITV News.
Well, Alex has joined us in the studio for more on this. Look, more records have been broken, not just here, but across Europe as well. How much worse could it possibly get?
Well, it's not going to get worse. I think it's going to stay consistently the same for the next couple of days, but there is some good news on the horizon. It will be getting cooler, but we still have our extreme heat warnings in place today, for the rest of today, and also as we head into tomorrow. There's one across the southeast, and in fact, the red warning area isn't actually where we're forecasting the highest temperatures, but it is where we could see the highest impacts. It's actually going to be hotter in the amber warning area. And as we head through the next few days, temperatures will begin to slightly drop off. But I just thought it would be worth taking you through the temperatures that we saw today. So these were our daytime maxes. And when you compare that to what's average for this time in late June, you can see we are way above average. And this wouldn't be possible without human-induced climate change. But the good news that lots of people are asking for, they can't take the heat. It is blisteringly hot out there. Let's take a look at the air mass sequence. As we roll that, you can see what happens. So you can see the jet stream, that fast-flowing ribbon of air, that is going to meander its way for the south. And what it's going to do, Charlene, is block off the hot air from the near continent. So we're going to be on the cooler side of the jet as we head through towards the weekend. So a quick look at temperatures over the next several days, and you can see Friday 38, but as we head through towards Sunday and Monday, still above average for the time of year, but more bearable at, say, 24 degrees Celsius.
2 teenage boys are missing after entering open waterways in the hot weather. One entered a lake in Siston in Leicestershire, where a search operation is underway. The other, a 15-year-old, is thought to have got into difficulty in the water at Testwood Lakes Nature Reserve near Southampton. And our reporter, Max Walsh, is there. Max, what's the latest on this?
Well, searches are still ongoing here this evening. and it's been described as an extremely concerning incident here. The 15-year-old boy was last seen swimming in one of the lakes of this nature reserve at around 1:30 yesterday afternoon, but he hasn't been seen since, and it's prompted an enormous emergency service response involving the National Police Air Service, police divers, underwater teams, even off-road vehicles, as they try to establish exactly what's gone wrong. And it comes, as you mentioned, another teenage boy has gone missing after going into water in Leicestershire. He was in Siston, and police have been there on the scene since 1:30 this afternoon, and this has all prompted fresh warnings to take extra care, especially going into open water during this unprecedented heatwave.
Okay, thanks very much, Max.
In the blistering heat, South East Water says customer demand is soaring.
Right. It's the sheer volume that is being put on the system at the moment.
And the hosepipe ban will safeguard services as its water treatment plants struggle to keep up.
We apologise for the disruptions that have occurred previously. What we're doing today by putting the temporary use ban is trying to be preemptive to avoid any further disruptions this summer.
We all knew that climate change was coming, it's going to get hotter. We knew there's going to be more housing. Why isn't South East Water infrastructure already up to the job?
Well, we operate in the South East, which is water scarce. We are managing that situation by planning for the future and investing over the next 5 years by putting in the new infrastructure to treat the water, to move the water to where customers need it.
As the company invests in future infrastructure, people are still struggling with an unreliable service in parts of Kent. What can you do right now to make sure that people do get water coming out of their taps?
So we're making sure that all our treatment works are running 24/7, and if there's any issues, we're fixing them straight away. We're also using tankers where necessary to top up any low water levels in our storage reservoirs. So we're doing everything we can to make sure the service is maintained all around the clock.
When will South East Water be able to say, if there's water in the reservoir, we will be able to pump it to you? When will that be? Is it 1 year? Is it 5 years?
Every year that goes by over the next 5 years, given our investment programme, customers should see an improvement in that service.
Limited comfort as the company struggles now.
Well, let's go back to Sarah. Sarah, you were in Headcorn and Bindon yesterday. Are their taps now running again?
Yes, they must be very pleased. There were 2 burst mains there yesterday, affected around 1,000 households, but those repairs have been done. There have been water supply issues as well in Betherston, Faversham and Whitstable. We understand they are also all now back on supply. Now, we spoke about this yesterday, but it has been incredibly hot and that has affected the trains. There's been a lot of cancellations, even affecting Eurostar, and not least another train between Ramsgate and Ashford. That line has actually had cancellations because of a defect that was found on the line at Chilham in this intense heat. Now, that's been fixed as well now, but the trains are still running slowly across the entire network, and South Eastern are still saying to people, please, while the temperatures are still high, avoid rail journeys unless absolutely necessary.
And Sarah, a busy day for the RNLI.
Oh my goodness, mate, absolutely. Yesterday there were rescues in Sheerness, there were rescues in Chatham. 2 toddlers were rescued in Ramsgate and 8 people last night in Folkestone. Busy again today, 8 more people rescued at Littlestone. It goes without saying there are some extra risks associated with the heat. Take care.
Absolutely. Sarah, for now, thank you.
Well, the sweltering conditions have been felt not just in Kent, of course, but in Sussex. The red weather warning has now been extended into tomorrow night.
Well, some parents have had to choose whether to send their children to school or not, with other schools unable to cope and having to close. And for farmers, it's another headache after an already difficult year. With more, here's Andy Dickinson.
Today's first lesson may be maths, but the class size doesn't add up. Around half this primary school's pupils staying at home today due to the escalating temperatures. Blinds drawn, some lessons outside, water bottles at the ready.
I'm feeling quite tired and it's very hot in the classroom and outside when we want to play games and we have to be in the shade under the trees all the time. It's just
very hot in the classroom and it's really hard to focus while we're learning.
I'm drinking a lot of water, but it is just so hot. It was like basically everyone in the classroom yesterday, but today there's barely anyone. It's just so hot today.
Meanwhile, on this farm outside Lewes, the fierce sunshine scorching crops and the fear of a loss of yield at a critical time for its development, after what managers here have described as a hellish winter.
It's worrying because these crops are ripening far too early, which impacts our yield. And for the livestock, they're going to run out of grass because that's not growing either. It's probably advanced 3 weeks in growth in the last 48 hours. Maybe a bit of gentle rain would be nice, not too much, and just cool down and just let the crops actually ripen naturally rather than under a blowtorch. Because the climate is without doubt changing, and this is happening more and more often.
It's 35 degrees here now as this rare weather warning gets extended, records tumbling in its wake, thoughts inevitably turning to what next as extreme weather conditions like these become more regular. How do we adapt?
I think we're all struggling for the answers, if I'm honest with you. I think we're having to make up a little bit as we go along in terms of how we cope with this. It's just a common sense strategy, but in terms of how equipped we are, I think everyone's in the same boat. It is difficult. We're looking for advice from the local authority about what steps we need to take. We're not really equipped, in all honesty, for this heat. We don't have the air conditioning, fans only sort of touching the surface of what's needed. So I think it's just being realistic with our expectations of one another and just getting through it, really.
The heat at least good for bees, driving this estate's biodiversity, so hot that even Year 5's pet tortoise has had to retire for a siesta. Everyone and everything forced to acclimatise. Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Hove.
Sunrise at Barry Island, a picturesque start to what's set to be one of the hottest days on record. But while most of the country is still sleeping, here the race against the heat is already underway. And it's not just the temperatures causing concern, but a mounting pile of litter left behind on our beaches.
So we've had a significant increase in visitors over the island, as expected always with the increase in the heat. So over the island we've got a dedicated team of resort wardens. They are really the backbone of Barry Island. They've graciously started work earlier, so we've got them on from maybe 5 a.m. onwards, and we've also got extra crews working on later in the afternoon.
This is the second day of the rare red warning for heat. Temperatures are rising and it is becoming increasingly difficult to stay cool. So how are people here in Cardiff coping with the heat?
Not bad going on, thank you. Yeah, loving it actually. It's enjoying it. What's to complain about?
Are you a big fan of this kind of weather?
Not really, no, because it's indicative of climate change, so no.
Terrible.
Terrible.
I like it, but it don't like me.
Don't like you? You're not a fan?
No. I do like the weather, but it's too hot.
We've been sensible, drinking water, enjoying the breeze, getting out and enjoying it too.
Yeah, staying hydrated and probably wearing the right clothes. Yeah.
Enjoying it?
Enjoying it, yeah.
Glad I'm not working.
But for those with no roof over their heads, escaping the sun isn't an option.
Guys, it's just to let you know, we'll be around with the van later on with some cold water.
As temperatures soar, outreach workers are out in force, offering a vital helping hand to those most exposed to the heat.
The temperature is really high, so yeah, we're kind of struggling at the moment, but trying to get enough water, sunscreen, stay in the shade, best we can do really.
Okay, Alice.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Need to keep hydrated in this weather, don't we?
We do.
Oh.
While the most severe red warning might be concentrated further south, the heat is still being felt right across the country. District nurses in Denbighshire are working flat out, checking in on the most vulnerable patients.
We've got in approximately 810 planned home visits for our more older population, vulnerable patients, and that's throughout today. We probably do expect to have quite a number of unscheduled calls come through as well. And this is perhaps due to the increased heat that we're experiencing at the moment.
Another record-breaking day comes to a close. The heatwave is beginning to ease, and for many, there's a welcome relief in sight. Gwenann Campbell, ITV News.
While outside temperatures soared, this school near Stroud stayed cool, and more importantly, stayed open, all thanks to newly installed air conditioning.
Looking at the future, every year now it's getting hotter and hotter. We've got to do something to allow children to go to school every day. And hot weather is something we've found over the last 2 years. We put blinds in, but classrooms are still very, very hot. So the air conditioning has been a real game changer to allow us to function as normal.
Hundreds of schools have closed across the southwest, while the red heat warning for exceptionally high temperatures remains in place. But this means children missing out on education and parents struggling with childcare. But at Leonard Stanley Primary School in Stonehouse, it's a cool 19 degrees in classrooms, meaning these children can continue to learn.
It's nice and cool because your air conditioning. It's too hot, but it's nice in school.
At least our school's open because now I can learn and be more educated. And it's pretty cold in here because of the aircon.
We're so used to not having the air conditioning. This classroom's like a greenhouse normally, so it's so hot because we've just got windows, so normally it's so hot. So now we just feel really lucky because it's so cool and nice.
But this school has something else to help children stay cool as the country faces record-breaking temperatures. And while the playground is restricted in a heatwave, pool time is encouraged.
It cools you down a lot, and it also helps you just relax. And on a hot summer day like this, it's perfect to just have a dip in the pool and cool down. You can just float around. It's really nice.
The pool and air conditioning have been funded by grants and community support, but the head teacher believes the government should be looking at more ways to help schools.
I think sustainability and future-proofing all schools is part of what we need to do. We are very slow to adapt to changes, and we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years getting hotter and hotter, and now's the time to act.
The reality is the air conditioning is too expensive for this school to use regularly, so it's only switched on when temperatures are extreme. But without it, the head teacher says the school would have been forced to close, and it would have been the children missing out. Victoria Davis, ITV News, Stonehouse.
Very lucky school and very lucky pupils. Well, let's talk to our political correspondent, Alicia Fitzgerald. Alicia, this isn't a problem that's going away anytime soon about the rising temperatures. So have the government got any plans to future-proof schools?
Well, the government are saying that schools should generally try and stay open during a heat wave, but they are issuing some level of guidance to schools in order to be able to cope with these temperatures. They are saying that this really is down to individual head teachers. It's up to them to make a decision on a case-by-case basis based on the temperatures and the conditions of their school. The government suggests that you keep blinds down, make sure that all children have access to drinking water, are allowed to take breaks and are not encouraged to do strenuous activity. The government also said that schools should know that they should relax uniform rules and things like that. But this is something that the government have been asked about, not just this summer, but in previous summers as well. And this week has really seen such an increase of MPs putting to the government just how many of their constituents are complaining about this. One of those MPs is Sarah Dyke. She's the MP for Glastonbury and Somerton.
Yeah, temperatures are forecast to exceed 35 degrees centigrade in Somerset this week, and some classrooms are set to breach safe working thresholds by as much as 10 degrees centigrade, risking serious disruption to learning. What immediate steps is the Secretary of State taking to protect pupils and staff from this extreme heat, and what dedicated funding will be made available to schools to retrofit for heat resilience to prevent repeated disruption to education in future heat waves?
Mr Speaker, we do recognise the need to make sure that as we refurbish and rebuild schools across our country, we make sure that they are well placed to cope with some of the fluctuations in temperature that we're seeing sometimes, the hot weather that we're experiencing at the moment. It's of course a matter for head teachers, for school leaders, as to how they manage that best. Schools, for example, can consider relaxing uniform rules during hot weather to make sure that pupils are comfortable. And also the Department for Health and Social Care, for example, recommends that pupils shouldn't take part in vigorous physical activity.
I think you could probably see there a slight raised eyebrow from Sarah Dyke, and she's not alone in feeling that way. Lots of MPs are very frustrated that the government is not pushing for air conditioning units to be installed in schools across the country. Lots of schools are in old buildings, so the government's plans to address new schools when they build them is not really going to cut the mustard when it comes to these existing schools in people's constituencies.
Yes, Alicia, right, like we said at the beginning, this is not a problem that's going away anytime soon. Thank you very much.
Right, let's stay with the impact of the weather. And South Western Ambulance Service has confirmed that yesterday was its busiest day on record. Crews responded to nearly 4,000 incidents and saw a rise in calls for issues like dehydration and heat stroke. The service is reminding people to only call 999 in a life-threatening emergency.
We're under a level of unprecedented and extraordinary pressure. Yesterday saw our busiest day in our history, where we responded to 3,941 patients. Just putting that into context, that's 1,000 more patients that we responded to yesterday in comparison to the same day last year.